Yeah.
Groups of grades, I guess.
But as you work with this on your own, you know, you'll find that this happens, that you'll be thinking of a loved one and another loved one will pop into your mind, or you'll be thinking of someone that you have conflict with and their 10 best friends will come to mind or whatever. So you can just, kind of depending on what's going on, sometimes I'll envision, you know, my wife, my mom, and my son all as my loved one, and that sort of thing, and that can be useful too. When it comes to the person that you're conflicted with, it's a good idea, I think, to stick with the person that you chose, but notice if 5 other people show up. You know, there's 7 days in a week, so do this every day, just bring it to a different one. And you may see some kind of common themes that start to emerge in terms of how you're relating to others and, you know, what kinds of thoughts about conflict are coming up and that kind of thing. Right. Well, that never happens when I think about my spouse.
Careful.
But no, absolutely. Like I said, you know, the traditional thing is your mother. But for some people, that would bring up a whole lot of stuff. I would not, you know, my father's no longer living, but he would not be a good choice for the loved one either for me. So, yeah, when that happens, just kind of notice it and then try to stick on the loving kindness side for a while, and then if you want to, work with them again as the conflicted person. I think it's best to stick with humans on these, but I've cultivated metta for, well, I don't have to cultivate metta for my dogs. They you know, it's kind of there for them. But I've used animals that I've seen suffering. We'll talk next week or the week after. I'm not sure that, I don't remember that the way I outlined this, but we'll talk about Tonla, which is sending and receiving wishes for freedom from suffering. And I've used animals that I've seen suffering as have just emerged in that process. Sometimes I've used that, so sure. You know, and that's a big part of why we do this. You know, we think of our own desire for happiness is very close to us. And the difference between a loved one and an enemy or a neutral person is really just a difference of thought. You know, because people meet other people, and at first they're just acquaintances, and then eventually they end up marrying them, and they're a loved one, and then eventually they go through a difficult divorce, and they're a hostile person. So what's the difference? The person didn't change, probably. It's just the way you think about that person, what you bring to your attitudes toward that person that changes, you know, in a really fundamental way that makes an acquaintance a loved one, and a loved one, you know, an adversary. So a big part of the process that we use here is kind of going to be seeing that, and seeing that, you know, the suffering I recognize in myself is present in others. The love that I recognize in myself is present in others, even if I'm not the recipient of it at this particular point, or even if it's coming out in weird ways that are troublesome for me, and that kind of thing. So yeah, it's a good observation.